Welcome to TalkFlagler. You're looking at local personalities, businesses, and everything west of the beach waves. I'm your host, Joey Santos-Jones, and on this episode, we're talking to community leader, field organizer for the Florida Democratic Party, community relations advocate for the Family Life Center, and impromptu speaker at the recent Black Lives Matter protest in Flagler Beach. No need to get worked up. It's just time to perk up. Gary Perkins. Gary, thanks so much for being on the show.
Uh, Thank you so much. Like I said, I think you might have came up with a campaign slogan for me if I ever run. So I'm gonna have to give you credit for that. That's a good one.
You can see the shirts, the perk up movement.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because a lot of my close friends, they call me Perk. Because my last name is Perkins. So it fits well.
Our humongous research team, that was one of the things that they pulled up was Perk. So tried to work it up in any kind of way. Now, I let in with everything that you do and a lot of what you represent, but who is Gary Perkins, the person? What motivates you each day to contribute to your community?
I'm just a regular person. Just for me, it's just really trying to strive to live an active and healthy lifestyle, mentally, physically, and spiritually, man. So just, progressing every day and really just, hey, taking it day by day and really just trying to get better,
What does community leader mean to you as a title?
Somebody that tries to push the culture of the community forward. I think we have a lot of underrepresented groups here, as far as leadership goes. So someone that's trying to, tie in all those groups and really work together to make sure that everyone's being served on the right level.
You're a busy dude. Among other things, you're also on the board for the Young Professionals Group. I believe you're the board chair.
Correct.
What are young people in our community telling you about their needs when it comes to succeeding locally? And does Flagler do enough to spark youth innovation?
I think, just in my opinion, like the youth in our area, they just really want a seat at the table. I think, for years, it's been this way that, we didn't know what was best for ourselves. Growing up in our 20s, I'm 33 now, but, my whole 20s was like, well, you don't know. But now I've been, a career man since I was 18, and like I have a lot of life experience. So with everyone, I think, it's time for us to really just step up and really take on a lot of leadership roles.
And for you, it sounds like something in your 20s, you were kind of searching for that voice and searching to be heard. And now with so much community involvement that you have, do you feel like you can be a voice for those people who feel like they're not being heard?
Yeah, I think I'm able to tie in, especially working with different organizations, just trying to bring everyone together. I have like a foot in every organization and just keep my ears to the streets about their needs and their missions. But I think it's really something for when people come together, they can accomplish a lot more.
Well, talking about that, you also do work with the Family Life Center, and they have a lot of support services. If people didn't know, the program's been around since 1987. They offer support groups for almost everything: emergency shelter, crisis counseling, court advocacy, emotional support, domestic violence, sexual violence. Do you feel like people know enough about it? And if they don't, what can we do as a community to help spread the word about the Family Life Center?
So it's really it's a funny situation because with the Family Life Center and servicing domestic violence and sexual assault survivors, it's not something that you want to advertise because the subject is very it's very personal. So especially in a small community, I think it's you have to go about it a certain way where it's just really more awareness and education. I just joined on this past year, so for me, it was using my network and my social media to really put forth the effort to make sure that everyone knew what we did and how we did it, and that it's 100% confidential, and we're always there.
Do you feel like there's still a taboo or a stigma just someone trying to publicly say like, hey, I need help here?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that we've seen in recent years. Honestly, especially being in Flagler County, because everybody thinks, okay, this is paradise. It doesn't happen. But as we can see, even with the COVID-19 crisis, domestic violence calls have risen. So
Yeah.
a lot of it with the COVID-19 is you have everybody in the house, and the survivors, they don't have that outlet. They couldn't go get their nails and hair done, so that they can have some time to escape what they're going through. So COVID-19 really put like a strap on just being able to express yourself and get help if needed.
So there is a lot of discreet messaging that people can do. And the Family Life Center on social media, you guys do a great job of talking directly to people. And you recently did one about TikTok and domestic violence.
I think it's we're just trying to, like I said, education and awareness. We came together as a team, and we put together like a marketing mission, and that mission was to not only reach the older generation but the younger generation as well, because one of our services at the Family Life Center is youth services as well. So getting into the schools, unfortunately, with COVID, that kind of messed everything up. So we have some ideas on just getting a little bit more proactive and really, putting a face to domestic violence and sexual assault in the communities, just so that, anybody that needs help, they know who to reach out to or what they can do to help.
Recently, Palm Coast and Flagler and Bunnell, like many cities across the country, had protests for the Black Lives Matter movement. And within our community, it seems like it really sparks some serious conversations in households, amongst friends, even family. You see it on social media. There's basically two sides of the coin, and there's a lot of people in the middle, asking the questions: Am I doing enough to show solidarity? Am I speaking up? Am I just silent in this whole thing? Is it okay for me to be silent? Are you having those hard conversations right now with friends? And what can they do to show solidarity?
Yeah, definitely. I try to be as vocal as I can on social media, as well as respectful. One of the things that really took me aback was actually when I showed up to the first protest. The amount of diversity that was there, and it ranged in ages young to old that were there, and it was really really interesting to see the dynamics of the protests as a whole. But even talking to someone that might be on the other side, just before that, I had a conversation with a gentleman, and it really showed me that, all right, well, we may have thought different, but I think even now with the whole George Floyd situation, they're coming out of their shell as well. Like, hey, I support you guys, and to see a grown man, really just apologize for the way that he might have thought, a year ago or 2 years ago, it shows where this country is going as far as direction and social change.
And a lot of that social dialogue happens in person, and unfortunately, because of COVID, um, we don't necessarily get to have those conversations in person anymore. But like you said, you talk to someone who might have been on the other side of the aisle, but talking to you and actually seeing the way and the effects of everything happening in the nation seem to kind of turn him. Do you feel like social media is kind of a distraction to everything going on more than helping?
Yeah, social media can be a distraction. I'm 33. Like I said, I was on, AOL when it first came out as, like a preteen. And so I'm like, all right, I can connect with anybody. But
I'm
I
on
think
chat.
sometimes,
Who's up?
yeah, exactly. It was a funny story, as I want to like write a book about, my online experience, and name it like age, sex, location, because that was like the thing back in the day, to figure out who was who and where everybody was at. But yeah, I think social media can be used for good. And I think that's how I'm going to use it. So I can't even speak on what I've seen, because it's been from from everybody. I think a lot of people are upset and they're really making their opinions heard on social media, but it's all about that relationship building.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really build a relationship on social media, especially when you have so many other people chiming in, because it might be a great conversation, impactful conversation, but then you have somebody that they call a troll, or to come in and spark something. Now you're dealing with that, so now your heart beats heavy, and it gets serious
Here we
sometimes. And
go.
yeah, exactly. I try to, there's a lot more work to be done on the backside of things as far as communication. So I just try to, focus on that and the true root of organization.
And in our county, thankfully had peaceful protests. Our county generally seems to do well in a lot of these events. But you found yourself speaking in the moment at Flagler Beach. What's it like to capture a moment like that, and what was going through your head?
And like you said, yeah, I didn't know what was, this wasn't like something that was really, really organized all right, well, we're gonna have speakers. I didn't know this was my first march, and it gave me goosebumps. I'm like going over across that bridge. It was like, wow, this is powerful, but as far as, just, what it's like to be in that moment, like this is, the moment that everybody's listening. So for me, I'm used to speaking in front of big crowds like that. But I wanted to make sure that there was a conversation after, the protest. And that was my initial mission, to really make sure, hey guys, I'm taking contact information. We can organize. We can, really talk about the issues that matter to us and make sure that, we're holding our leaders accountable. But I just, like I said, it gave me goosebumps to see so many people there. And, I didn't know it was going to be as big as it was, or that I was going to speak, but I'm very happy that it turned out the way it did. And kudos to, Madison from Sally's Ice Cream for at least organizing the one that I spoke at. There's been numerous ones throughout the county over the last couple of weeks. And, and they're all, it seems like they're all organized by the younger generation. So it's really, really cool.
So what happens after here? Obviously, protests are still going across the country, and in some areas like Atlanta, things got escalated. But here in Flagler, like, how do we keep the dialogue going after these protests? Is it county leaders taking a hold of it, or is it more organization and more organizing?
It's definitely organizing, man. It's all about, when you go through like webinars and you learn about organizing, it's all about that hard ask. So, all right,
Yeah.
so you pretty much, you meet someone and you build a relationship with that person, but it's like, all right, well, can you volunteer for this, or what are you willing to do? What are your skills? Because everyone plays an important part in organizing, and it really, me as just somebody that's being the like a field organizer, I can't do everything. So it's about delegating and making sure that every stone is turned, or what's the saying? Every stone doesn't go unturned, or something like that.
Left unturned.
Exactly. So, but I just want to make sure that when it comes down to organization, that I have the contacts that really want to help out the community and push it forward.
So generally on this podcast, we talk on a local level, but I mean, with something like this, you kind of have to talk on a national level. Do you think something on an educational level, just in new curriculum in schools, kind of teaching more about the rich Black history in this country and just being honest about what happened in the past and where we are and what the messaging is?
That will definitely help. I think education is so big to me. Just I don't think teachers get enough credit. I don't think they get enough resources. So that's something that I really want to address moving forward in Flagler County, at least. But yeah, I think the youth is our best investment. So whether it's the Board of Education, or social groups. I think the schools and social groups might need to work a little bit better together so that you can have an organization like the Family Life Center come in and, talk about teen bullying and, just mental health issues. I think, you do have, young professional group come in and try to mentor students and pair mentorship up, so just building a balance between social organizations and the education system, I think will benefit us in the long run.
And I was going to actually ask you what you think. There's an election coming up, and what a big issue for you and the young professionals and a lot of the young voices would be. But it sounds to me just giving them an opportunity, a lot of the bright minds, to, if they have ideas for businesses, if they want to be creative, is just giving them opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And showing that, no matter where you came from, as far as social class or education, that, you have support. And I think that's one thing that the Young Professional Group really does well is we try to just try to bridge the gap between the older generation before us and the younger generation, because we kind of know the lingo, we know the social media game.
And networking is hard with a different generation. You just feel like you don't know necessarily what to say to them.
Yeah, but we have like lunches, power lunches that will help with that. I think if you're not coming out of COVID-19 with like a new skill or something that you may not have been comfortable with going into COVID, but you worked on it. Like, I think that's going to benefit everybody going forward. So, I mean, just trying to bridge that gap between the older generation and the younger generation is super important to all that we do with the young professionals.
So something we like to do on the podcast to end is we like to play a game with our guests. Each time it's made for the guest. It just happened that this time I hit it right on the head with you because you happen to be a big movie buff and you also like wrestling.
Love wrestling.
So
that was me when I was younger. I honestly, I'm what everyone calls an introvert. I would be locked in my room playing Legos, watching wrestling 24/7, and it's so funny because I come down here and I'm perceived to be this big extrovert, but I just, like I said, I just like the relationship build. But I think I'm going to choose movies because I think wrestling might be too easy.
Well, we will see. Your game, Gary Perkins, is movie title or professional wrestler. Are you ready?
Oh, okay. Oh, I get to choose. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm going to list either a movie title or a professional wrestler. You just have to tell me it's a movie title. No, that's a professional wrestler.
I got you.
Let's put time on my invisible clock. Gary Perkins, are you ready?
I am ready.
Zorba the Greek.
Wow. I'm going to have to go with wrestler.
That's a movie title.
What?
Big John Stud.
No way. All right, you got me there. Interesting.
Your second one is Big John Stud.
Big John Stud. These are pretty hard. Let's see. I'm gonna go with wrestler.
That is a wrestler. Big John Stud from the 80s.
Definitely. And the thing is, it's just like, I've never heard of, I can either never heard the movie title or I can never heard of the wrestler. So it's like, it's pretty interesting.
That's our crack research team. Hard at work to find obscure wrestlers from the 80s and also movie titles you probably haven't heard of. There's going to be a few here that you've heard of. Speaking of number 3, Jackie Brown.
Definitely a movie.
Movie, that is correct.
Yeah, Pam Grier.
Number 4, The Wild Samoans.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. I feel like, maybe like The Rock's father might have been part of this group if they were wrestlers. Wild Samoans. I don't think I've ever seen a movie. I used to work at Blockbuster, and I don't think I've ever seen a movie called The Wild Samoans. So I'm going to say wrestler.
They are wrestlers, yes.
All
Also,
right.
shout out to Blockbuster.
Rest in peace, Flagler, man. That was like the best job that I ever had. It was so cool. Met a lot of
I
good
also,
people.
too, worked at Blockbuster, making movie nights better than ever.
Make sure you get those bundles, popcorn, candy, and a drink.
Those upsells. Number 6, Donnie Darko.
Movie, one of my favorite movies with
Movie.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, I might watch that tonight, honestly. That was a cult classic.
Number 7, we're going with Burt Wonderstone.
Ooh, Wonderstone. That name sounds so familiar. I'm going to say movie.
That is a movie title, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Number 8, Simon Birch.
That is definitely a movie title.
That is a movie, yes. You are correct, Gary Perkins.
And it's about the little kid, right? Like he spent the summer, he was, I think, disabled, and he like met a friend. And it was a very, very sad book. I think I cried at the end of that movie.
I'm looking at the research team. Yeah, that's correct. Very sad movie. The next one is Hercules Hernandez.
I would go ahead and say wrestler.
That is a wrestler, yes. And for your final one, is Dynamite Kid.
Dynamite Kid. Huh. That's a tough one right there, because that would make a good wrestling name. But also, I might want to see a movie called Dynamite Kid. I'm going to go with wrestler.
That is correct. Gary Perkins, you got 9 out of 10 correct. Very well done.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show, Gary. And if you have any plugs that you want to do right now, this is your chance.
Definitely make sure, if you don't know what the Family Life Center does, please look us up, as well as the Young Professional Group here in Flagler County. We've got some big things coming post-COVID, so look out for that. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and also make sure that you're registered to vote, because that's the only way that we're going to create long-lasting change in our community. But if you're looking to volunteer, please get in touch with me. My email is gperk0115@gmail.com, and I hope to guide you in any direction that I can.
And for us, you can find us on AskFlagler.com, launching June 29th, your newer news website for Flagler County. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, hit that /AskFlagler. And if you'd like to be on the podcast, reach out to our email, podcast@AskFlagler.com. It doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are, we want to hear your story. For the AskFlagler.com team, the TalkFlagler Podcast, and our guest, Gary Perkins, I'm Joey Santos-Jones. Thanks for listening.